First at 9. This is Other Derana 24/7.
In tonight's headlines, Saitam protest met with tear gas by the police. 2 injured. President reiterates that the government is strong, cannot be toppled. Single lane creates traffic havoc in Colombo. Authorities say it will be resolved. And in international headlines, Scottish independence, Nicola Sturgeon to seek second referendum to break away from the United Kingdom. Good evening, Mahesh Johnny with Other Derana 24/7. We are live across the island this hour, and as always, here's a first look at the local stories. President Maithripala Sirisena pledges that he will not let the present government collapse, instead will ensure it fulfills responsibilities towards the people. He said this speaking at the Derana Abhishekya ceremony in Vallavaya to hand over 10,000 title deeds to people in Uwawelassa.
අපි රජයක් විදිහට අපේ මූලික සැලසුම් සමග අපි ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙනවා.
The government's fundamental plans are underway. There are many accusations leveled at the government. Some who watch evening news think that the government will collapse the next day. Some others make different analyses about the government. I must say that the nonsensical news in the media about the government will not be able to topple the government. If someone is waiting for the government to collapse by tomorrow, that will not happen. We will be in power throughout our time of office. We will fulfill responsibilities of the government by fulfilling the people's aspirations and by ensuring economic development in the country.
අපි රජයේ අපේ වගකීම් සහ යුතුකම් අපි නිසි ලෙස ඉටු කරනවා.
Speaking at an event in Colombo today, former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa pointed out that many have forgotten the destruction brought upon the country by the LTTE.
අවාසනාවකට වගේ අපේ රටවැසිය දෙකට බෙදීලා
Unfortunately, people of this country are divided into 2 groups. When looking at social media sites, it is sad to see that nobody accuses or blames Prabhakaran. People worship him now. But Mahinda Rajapaksa, the soldiers and Gotabaya Rajapaksa are all considered murderers and thieves, while Prabhakaran is being considered as a god.
ගෝඨාභය රාජපක්ෂ ලේකම්වරයා මිනිමාරුවේ හොරෙක් හැබැයි ප්‍රභාකරන් දෙවියෙක්.
Former Governor of Central Bank Arjuna Mahendran arrived at the Presidential Commission of Inquiry investigating the bond issue today to record a statement with the CID officers attached to the commission. On Friday, Mahendra appeared before the commission for the first time, recorded a statement that lasted almost 6 hours.
Former Governor of Central Bank Arjuna Mahendran arrived at the Presidential Commission of Inquiry investigating the Central Bank bond issue at 9:30 this morning. Arjuna Mahendran remained at the premises until 6 this evening, recording a statement with the Criminal Investigation Department office attached to the commission. The Commission of Inquiry commenced regular sittings at 10 a.m. with former Superintendent of the Public Debt Department R.D. Nanayakara appearing for testimony. During questioning, Senior State Counsel Dr. Avanti Pereira brought the Commission's attention to Gazette notifications published during the period from January 2012 to January 2015. Asked whether slots were reserved for publication of Gazette notifications pertaining to bond issuances the year before, the former Superintendent of the Public Debt Department noted that it is standard procedure to reserve a slot for Gazettes to be published in January the year before. He also went on to explain that details of the Gazette will be furnished at the end of the year in which the Gazette notification is to be dated. It was understood by the Commission that therefore Gazettes published could be delayed until the year after. Attorneys representing the Attorney General's office then highlighted procedure related to the controversial Gazette notification 1895/19 dated January 1st, 2015. Accordingly, the reservation letter for the said Gazette was sent on December 24, 2014, while the letter requesting details to be printed was sent on November 17, 2016. Commission member Justice Prasanna Jawardena asked the former superintendent whether this was standard procedure carried out during the terms of Ajit Niwad Cabral and Arjun Mahendran, to which he agreed. When questioned of the procedure when a finance minister changes within the year, the former superintendent responded that he has no knowledge. Nanayakara further explained that although a finance minister signs for a Gazette notification, there is no finance ministry involvement in preparing the document. A Gazette pertaining to Treasury bond issue is prepared by Central Bank, he said. Senior State Counsel Dr. Avanti Pereira then brought the attention of the Commission to the low percentage of bids offered by perpetual treasuries in 17 auctions from 2012 to 2014. As a result, Justice Prasanna Jayawardena inquired whether perpetual treasuries had ever bid twice the offered amount in any auction before, to which the former superintendent replied that it had never been the case. Senior President's Counsel Milinda Gunatilaka further inquired whether it is correct to say that perpetual treasuries had never bid over 500 million rupees in any auction before. The former superintendent of the Public Debt Department agreed. R.D. Nanayakara will reappear before the Commission of Inquiry tomorrow.
Stocks were lower after the close today as losses in the information technology, footwear and textile and stores and supply sectors led shares lower. At the close in Colombo, the CSE all share fell 0.23% to hit a new one-month low. With all the details, here is Imeshi Fernando with more from the trading floor.
The benchmark all-share price index lost 14.19 points to close at 6,070.8, while the S&P Sri Lanka 20 index lost 14.5 points to close at 3,482.08. The turnover was 183.27 million rupees with 8.6 million shares changing hands in 2,431 trades. The market capitalization at the end of the day was 2,665.88 billion rupees. Top 5 gainers of the day were Kotmale Holdings, People's Merchant Finance, Lankem Developments, Arpico Insurance and John Kills, while the top 5 losers were SNB Leasing, Non-Voting, Amana Takaful, Colombo City Holdings, Swarna Mahal Financial Services, Serendip Hotels, Non-Voting. Today's foreign purchases were 69.3 million rupees and foreign sales were 8.34 million rupees. There was one crossings today and the crossings turnover was 20.9 million rupees.
In order to get a picture of what kind of factors that will sway tradings in the stock exchange in the coming week, here's Dimantha Matthews from First Capital with the weekly forecast.
We expect the strong market valuations to continue to attract a healthy level of foreign interest, especially on the buying side. With local investors likely to continue to remain on the sidelines, we believe foreign participation in the local overall market to remain high. The overall market turnovers likely to be moderate with the low level of high net worth and retail participation due to the uncertain environment that is prevailing at the moment.
Here's a look at how the Sri Lankan rupee traded against other currencies during the day today. Welcome back, everyone. In more local stories, former President Mahinda Rajapaksa claims that Sri Lanka will be divided if proposals suggested by the UN Human Rights Council are implemented. Issuing a media communique, he stated that several documents officially released or have come to light by other means reveal very clearly the intentions of the government. The former president states that even though a radical regime change has taken place in the USA, the Yahapalana government has not taken any measures to hold talks with the new US administration in order to get the resolution against Sri Lanka amended. The statement says it thus becomes plain that the Yahapalanas co-sponsored this dangerous resolution in 2015, not only due to pressure from foreign parties, but also because of their intricate anti-national leanings. The former president says that it should be borne in mind that as of this moment, it is not the American government that is carrying forward the resolution against Sri Lanka, but our own government. He said that the reason why the government is pursuing some of the agenda with great enthusiasm while completely ignoring the constitutional pledges they gave to the people is obviously because they have other more important matters to please than the people of this country. In other local stories, the pilot project to introduce a priority lane for buses commenced from Rajagiriya today. The project was initiated this morning to minimize traffic congestion in the Rajagiriya, Boralla and Matramulla areas. However, passengers and drivers told Other Derana that they had to face greater inconvenience and that the traffic congestion was aggravated.
According to transport officials, nearly 150 passenger buses are on the road on weekdays from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. and between 4:30 p.m. and 7 p.m. Accordingly, between 8,000 to 10,000 passengers travel in these buses. The pilot project to introduce a priority lane for buses commenced under the patronage of Megapolis and Western Development Minister Partli Champika Ranawaka yesterday. The pilot project will be implemented for a week's period until the 18th along the lanes from Rajagiriya to Ayurveda Junction and Ayurveda Junction to Rajagiriya. Accordingly, the left lane from Rajagiriya to Boralla Junction is allocated for passenger buses. However, we observed that passengers faced inconveniences due to the traffic congestion caused as a result.
Our time is wasted. It takes about 45 minutes to pass through this. We could have gone through this within 15 minutes. There is traffic for some time, but I think this is a good plan. There is so much traffic on the road. It seems the plan is so successful.
Drivers complain that the traffic congestion aggravated due to ongoing construction work on the flyover bridge near the lane in which the pilot project is implemented. Meanwhile, project advisor Professor Amal Kumarage expressed views regarding the matter.
When we introduce the lane system, it should be accurate. For that, we have to identify the different issues. We use all information we take from this project to create the system. Our next plan is to create a bus lane from Preta to Maradana. In one of our headline stories, police launched water cannons and tear gas on a protest march launched by the Inter-University Students' Federation against the South Asian Institute of Technology and Medicine today. The march began from the University of Visual and Performing Arts in Colombo 7 at around 12:30 this afternoon.
Protesting university students demanded the abolition of South Asian Institute of Technology and Medicine on the grounds that the government failed to provide proper solutions to the issue. Protesters marched through Boralla and Maradana to Colombo Fort. The protesting university students disregarded a court order and proceeded towards the presidential secretariat. As students were attempting to topple barricades and forcibly enter the presidential secretariat premises, police used tear gas and water cannons. Two students sustained injuries while another was arrested by police. They then marched towards the Lake House roundabout.
The Ranil Maitri government is only attacking protests. Thousands who came to Fort protested and said Saitam should be abolished. Our president is standing for Neville Fernando to make profits. We request the government not to give bogus solutions. Well, in a follow-up to that story, the Sri Lanka Medical Council today filed an appeal before the Supreme Court to annul the appeal court verdict on it to register Saitam medical degree holders. This came after the Court of Appeal ruled on 31st January that the South Asian Institute of Technology and Medicine is legally eligible to issue medical degrees to the students. Accordingly, the appeals court had also directed the Sri Lanka Medical Council to grant provisional registration to medical students passing out from Saitam. The writ petition was filed by an MBBS undergraduate after the Sri Lanka Medical Council refused to register a batch of medical students who had passed out from the Saitam last year. On sports tonight, several school rugby matches took place during the weekend where key schools across Sri Lanka were battling out for their respective trophies. Let's now take a look at the results of the inter-school rugby matches making the conclusion of the third weekend.
Trinity College won the match held against Zahira College today in the inter-school rugby tournament. Trinity College scored 34 while Zahira College could only score 26. Meanwhile, another match took place between Royal College and Kandy Dharmaraja. The match ended in a draw where Dharmaraja scoring 15 in the first half and Royal College scoring 10. Royal College scored another 5 points in the second half.
Moving on to school big matches that took place over the weekend, St. Sebastian's College Muratua made easy work on achieving the 160 target, winning by 62 runs on the Duckworth-Lewis method in the limited over encounter against Prince of Wales College as the game was brought to an abrupt end due to crowd obstructing the pitch.
The 30-second limited over encounter between Prince of Wales College and St. Sebastian's was ended in unexpectedly as crowds invaded the pitch. The umpires were forced to hand the Sebastianites a 62 win according to the Duckworth-Lewis method. Winning the toss, Prince of Wales captain Vishwa Chaturanga chose to bat first. The opening duo put up a partnership of 43 runs off 35 balls. Sebastianites bowlers kept attacking the Cambrian squad by picking up constant wickets. The last 7 Prince of Wales players notched up just in 66 runs as excellent bowling restricted the Cambrians to just 159 in 43.4 overs. Tashik Pereira was the pick of the bowlers for St. Sebastian's College with 4 for 25 runs, while Nimesh Bandara picked up 3 wickets for 19 runs. Avishka Fernando and Malintha Pires opened the game for St. Sebastian's College as the pair kept the scoreboard ticking until a Nelson without being dismissed. Avishka Fernando made a sensational half-century by scoring 56 of 48 balls, which included 8 fours and a solid 6. Malintha Pires reached his half-century amidst the crowd's interruption and wickets falling at the other end. The crowd's invasions got out of hand and St. Sebastian's were handed a 62-run win on Duckworth-Lewis method. The crowd's invasions got out of hand and St. Sebastian's were handed a 62-run win on Duckworth-Lewis method. Malintha Pires finished unbeaten on 62. Savindu Pires picked 3 wickets for 21.
Bit of tennis news now. Novak Djokovic and Roger Federer got through to the BNP Paribas Open, the season's first ATP World Tour Masters 1000 tournament, which gets underway on Thursday.
Novak Djokovic moved into the third round of the ATP Indian Wells event with a hard-fought victory over Britain's Kylie Edmund yesterday. The Serb world number 2 battled back from 3-0 down in the second set to steal a 6-4, 7-6 win, his 16th in a row in Indian Wells, to set up a meeting with Argentina's Juan Martín del Potro.
On to international news now. Scottish First Minister Nicola Sturgeon today demanded a new referendum for Scottish independence, expected to be held late next year or early 2019, once the terms of Britain's exit from the European Union have become clearer. Her demand comes just as British Prime Minister Theresa May is poised to launch the Brexit process, something opposed by most Scots in last June's vote on leaving the Union. Ultimately, it is the UK Parliament in Westminster which decides whether Scotland can hold a second referendum. But if UK Prime Minister Theresa May refuses to approve such a vote, she could provoke a constitutional crisis. Scots rejected independence by 55 to 45% in referendum in September 2014. Well, at least 38 people were killed and 13 wounded in northern Haiti when a bus fleeing a fatal collision plowed into a festival crowd yesterday. The bus had been en route to the capital Port-au-Prince when the accident occurred.
The bus had initially hit 2 people and killed one just outside the city of Gonaive, but fled the scene. The bus driver continued for about 5 kilometers before encountering a group of 3 parades and veered the bus through the festival. 34 people died at the scene, while 4 others died after being rushed to hospital. According to police, angry survivors had mobbed the bus and tried to set it on fire, while passengers were still inside, but officers intervened. The driver and passengers of the bus were taken to a police station. The passengers were released, but the driver escaped and is still at large.
Also in international news, at least 62 people have died while scores are feared buried under piles of waste after a colossal garbage dump on the outskirts of the Ethiopian capital Addis Ababa collapsed over makeshift homes. As search missions continue, reports suggest at least 150 people were there at the time. A city spokeswoman told reporters that many children were among the dead. The landfill has been in use for over 5 decades. People living near the site have blamed the landslide on construction operations of Africa's first waste-to-energy plant, which is located close to the landfill. The plan to burn rubbish generated by the capital's estimated 4 million people and convert it into electricity. There are fears that the death toll could rise further. Time for the weather now. Showers or thunder showers will develop at several places over most provinces of the island after midday tomorrow. A few showers also likely along the southern and eastern coastal areas during the morning as well. There may be temporary localized strong winds coupled with thunder showers. If you are planning on to be outside during this time, please make sure that you safeguard yourself from any damages that can be caused due to heavy lightning activities. Here's your city-by-city forecast. Well, that is a part of your world tonight right here on Other Derana 24/7. For the latest in local, international, business, sports, weather or entertainment news, log on to www.otherderana.lk or like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter at Other Derana. I'm Mahesh Johnny, and before we go, we want to take you down to the Nelum Pokuna Road in Colombo, where you find the brilliant displays of talents from our very own local artists. These paintings are on display during weekends and sometimes during weekdays as well. Well, Other Derana English News will return tomorrow at 9 p.m. Thank you for joining us. Good night.
Bringing you the news and information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.